Hello and welcome to another Sprues and Brews video. Today we are looking at Broken Realms Bellacor, the latest in the Broken Realms series for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Now if you're a regular viewer to the channel, you will know that I'm a big fan of these books. The first two volumes, Morathi and Teclis, were absolutely amazing. Not only filled with really good gaming content, but also an amazing narrative that I really do think some of the best story we've seen in Age of Sigmar, really expanding the lore and yeah, all sorts of awesome reveals. And yeah, Broken Realms Bellacor is no different. So yeah, we're very kindly sent a copy by Games Workshop to have a bit of an early look at. So yeah, we'll have a look through the book. We won't go too much into spoilers in this video. We do have a post up on spruesandbrews.com where we do go into all the details and what the reveals are and what this might be leading to. But yeah, we're going to have a look through the book and have a look through all the gaming content in here as well. So Bellacor, the new Legion of the First Prince, and all the other cool gaming content in here. So yeah, let's have a look inside and see what we get. So as with the other Broken Realms books, we start off with yeah, a big chunk of the book, the first, what, 60 odd pages? Just brand new lore telling the story of Bellacor's return to the mortal realms and yeah, what he's been up to. So again, there's lots of things that are kind of revealed in here. Bellacor's been pulling the strings in the background for a couple of things, and yeah, he's got big plans for the mortal realms, and he really wants to impress the Chaos Gods who've slighted him over the years and pretty much outdo Archaon. So yeah, I'm not going to go too much into the lore side on this one, just because there are some massive spoilers that I don't really want to get into too much, because I know some of you want to read this yourself. But this is a fantastic story. I've enjoyed all the Broken Realms books so far, but this one has got some of the most epic battles. It has got some really dark parts in it. It's got a space battle, if you're not expecting that for an Age of Sigmar book. Yeah, really, really good. I have thoroughly enjoyed the Broken Realms series, and I'm kind of a bit sad that, you know, it's going to come to an end at some point. So I hope, you know, with this as kind of the benchmark they've set for lore, that we see this kind of lore going forwards more regularly, because this really is some of the best they've done. The writing team has done an absolutely amazing job. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen any tie-in novels expanding this further, because the story is amazing. I'd like to, for the end times, we saw some tie-in books that came out alongside it, kind of expanding on the storyline that was in the books. So I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen the same for this. But you know, even though it's not a Black Library book, the story is genuinely that good. If you are into Age of Sigmar, I would pick it up just for that. So yeah, it's yeah, we know there's at least one more book coming with Kragnos. We don't know how many there's coming after that, which is yeah, I don't know if it's just the 4 or if it's going to be a series of, you know, 6 or so books perhaps. Not sure. I'm going to be sad when it ends though, because it has been an epic storyline. But what a lot of people that are getting this book will be into are the new rule contents in here. So as with the other Broken Realms books, we do get a full campaign letting you play through the events of the narrative in a more kind of a narrative gaming kind of way. These aren't match play missions, and a lot of it aren't match play rules. These are very much for recreating the events of the battles in the book, using the same forces. And this one actually contains kind of rules for having some multiplayer games. There's quite a few of the scenarios that need a 3rd and 4th player with their own, you know, representative armies. What they've done in all these books is kind of detail all the forces that the various sides will need. So the Bellacor player will need a Nurgle army, a Tzeentch army, and a legion of the First Prince army. And then the enemy player will be bringing Stormcast and Seraphon, essentially. And it recommends having a third player with a Nighthaunt army and a Eternal Conflagration army, and then a fourth player with Cities of Sigmar and Caradron Overlords. That way, all of the various factions that are involved in the book are represented in your games. It does say you can swap them out. You know, if you don't have those armies, you can easily amend the battle plans. So yeah, pretty cool. We also get some new realms of battle to represent some of the locations that are featured in the storyline as well. Again, these really aren't kind of based from a match play point of view. This is definitely more a narrative gaming kind of thing, just to give a bit of flavour and variety to your battles, have some interesting effects that happen during the game. So yeah, really like them. I think that's cool. What I'd like to see is maybe a pack of cards collecting together all the different realms of battles we've seen during the series in the last book. That'd be really fun. I don't think we'll get it, but it'd be nice to have them all together, you know, so you've got them for reference for the future. So then going through, we get, missed a page here. We get 6 different scenarios. Some of those scenarios feature siege warfare, or like we said earlier, multiplayer battles. So the siege warfare we have seen before in Wrath of the Everchosen. It's not really expanded since then. I would like to see this as its own kind of standalone expansion at some point, because I think that'd be really, really fun. But essentially what you do is, before the battle starts, the attacker and the defender will pick some different tactics based on how they want the siege to go out. So does the attacker want to cut off supplies? Do they want to start demolishing some of the defences? Or do they want to kind of mine under the walls to kind of get infiltrated in that way? And likewise, the defender will secretly choose whether they gather supplies, they kind of rebuild the defences, or they kind of do counter mining to try and stop any infiltrators. Based on the combination of what the two sides do, will give you some modifiers that you use on some rolls for kind of breaking down the walls, for starving the defenders, for tunnelling underneath, and all of those will have different impacts in your game. So quite a simple system, but a nice way of doing it. Definitely for a narrative game. Obviously, this spoilers, but this ends with a massive siege. So yeah, it's cool to be able to reflect them. Kind of sad that we don't have a current Warhammer Fortress that we can use for these. I'd really like to see that reincarnated with an Age of Sigmar vibe. And I just hope one day we get a proper siege supplement, because that'd be really cool. We also get Coalition of Death rules. So this is basically ways of playing games with more than 2 players. Again, fairly basic. You split into 2 sides. While each individual army has their own general, there will be a warlord on each side who kind of makes the important dice rolls, kind of has the final call for any kind of tactical plays and stuff. So yeah, pretty fun. It's not quite, Triumph and Treachery with 4 different armies out to get each other. This is more an alliance of multiple armies fighting against another alliance of multiple armies. And again, this is something we see narratively in the book as well. So really cool to have the rules to represent that. And then yeah, the 6 missions themselves go through various events within the story. So yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to being able to play through this series in its entirety. I think we're quite lucky that between us, the Sprues and Brews gang have got pretty much all of the armies that have been featured in the series so far. So yeah, when we can, hopefully in 5 or 6 weeks, I think it is, the world opens up again, we can play some games and start chronicling the Broken Realms series with some videos and battle reports, hopefully. But yeah, really, really cool stuff. What I like about these missions, you see different stuff that you don't necessarily see in a normal match play battle as well. Because, match play battle is designed to be, fair, tactical, fair. These are more about telling the story, so it's not necessarily going to be balanced armies or even balanced objectives, which is really fun. Gives you something different to do and lets you see if you can maybe, recreate the battle and make it go a different way than it did in the story. So yeah, I really like that. I'm looking forward to doing it, and I hope I hope a lot of other people are kind of picking up the narrative side as well, because I think it's something that's maybe overlooked. 40k had the same problem where people would always play match play, but then since Crusade came out, I think people are starting to embrace that kind of play a bit more, and hopefully this does the same. I would like to see something like Crusade for AOS, but having a full kind of narrative campaign to play through is really fun. So now we get to kind of the meat of the rules part of the book. So obviously in all these Broken Realms books, we've seen quite a lot of old battle tomes and armies get some updates and new abilities and refresh profiles and stuff to basically bring those books back in line. We saw something very similar with the Psychic Awakening books, and yeah, the Broken Realms books have done the same for AOS. And we've got quite a few forces represented here. Slaves to Darkness and Wrath of the Everchosen kind of encompass Bellacor and his personal demonic army, the Legion of the First Prince, which is essentially an army of demons. If you played demons back in Warhammer Fantasy, for example, that's the kind of vibe it's going for, which hasn't really, outside of Wrath of the Everchosen, got any proper rules content yet. So I really like that. We also get new stuff for the Nighthaunt, the Caradron Overlords, Seraphon, Disciples of Tzeentch, Fyreslayers and Stormcast Eternals. So yeah, lots of armies represented here. But I suppose we would start with the main attraction, Bellacor and his gorgeous new model. So obviously he's been working out a bit. He's a bit bigger than the old Bellacor model that we had from Warhammer Fantasy, which is still, well, it's managed to last a long time, and yeah, they've given him an awesome new plastic model to represent his new profile. So with that new profile, he's kind of more in par with a demon, with a greater demon rather than a demon prince now. He's gone up to 14 wounds, and he's got a load more attacks. He starts with 8 attacks on his Blade of Shadows. He's also gained an additional couple of attacks, his Fell Claw and his Spearing Tail, which is brutal. On a top profile, it wounds on a 1+, -3 rend, 2 damage. He's only got 1 attack, but yeah, he can put out quite a lot of damage by himself. He's got what, potential of 20 damage, majority of them at -2 rend. Pretty good, pretty good. He's certainly better than his old profile. He's got a few new tricks as well. A lot of it is based on the old War Scroll, so I know a few people have been disappointed it's not a complete overhaul. I kind of like that they've taken what we had for Bellacor and just made him a little bit stronger, more impressive, tuned it a little bit. And this isn't the full picture. He does get some additional abilities as well that we see in a little bit in his kind of allegiance that he's got. So with his Dark Master ability, previously at the start of the game you would pick a unit, and then during the game, during an enemy hero phase, you could say, right, that rule is coming into effect, and they had to roll every time they did any type of action, and on a 5 or 6 it failed. That's been reworked a little bit now. You can now pick any unit you like once per game in their hero phase, and then at the start of each of their phases, on a 3+, they can't do anything at all. So really cool. You know, you've got an important combat, you can just shut down that unit potentially for the entire turn. Now it isn't a 3+, it isn't guaranteed, but you do roll at the start of each phase, meaning that, I don't know, say if you were fighting, I don't know, Everchosen, we'll go thematic. Being able to lock down Archaon in every phase of that turn takes away a lot of the power of that army list, shutting down command abilities, spells, attacking, moving, whatever they want to do is such a good ability. It is only once per battle, but if you time it well, that really could change the outcome of the battle. So really, really like that ability. He's also got the Lord of Torment. So he's got a 12-inch aura, which I think was previously about 8 inches. It was a smaller aura on it. And whenever any enemy unit fails a battle shock test, he regains D3 wounds. Now with him having an increased rune profile already, he's tougher as it is. Keep him alive with that, it's pretty good. Shadow form hasn't changed either, that he ignores all modifiers to his save, so that's beneficial modifiers too. So he has always got a 4+ save on his profile. And his spell is, I think, is identical, where he can make an enemy unit -1 to wound. So no massive changes there, bar the extra wounds and the more attacks and the tweaks to the Dark Master. However, where Bellacor gets really strong is within his new allegiance. So the Legion of the First Prince is something that we saw in Wrath of the Everchosen, and it was a way of making a Bellacor themed Slaves to Darkness army. Now, this has been kind of refined and tweaked a bit and had a lot of new abilities put into it. It is now a purely demonic army. So, as you'd expect, Bellacor is probably going to be in your army, because I don't know why you wouldn't take him in this force. And you can only take units with the Chaos or Demons keyword, so you can't take any of the new Mortal Celestin stuff, for example, unless it's got the Demon keyword in there. I noticed, while having a look through this, I wonder if we can get Skyfire's in there. They used to have the Demon keyword, but it looks like Games Workshop have slyly removed the Demon keyword from those units. So yeah, it really is going to be more like the old Warhammer Fantasy Demons list, where it's using all those various factions. And all the abilities kind of key around them. So with First Dan Prince, this is something we saw in the old one in Wrath of the Everchosen, but it has been massively improved. So you can reroll all hits for Bellacor while he's within 18 inches of a unit of Bloodletters, Horrors, Plague Bearers and Demonettes. He has to be within 18 of all of them. That is up from, I think it was an 8 or 9 inch range previously. That gives him a lot more manoeuvrability, because he's not kind of tied in that small footprint without being able to move. And again, he's got a bigger base now as well, so that aura is increased further. It means that he can, run ahead a little bit, and as long as he's within 18 of those guys at the back, he's still going to get the benefit, which is really cool. What's really, really cool is that if he's within 9 inches of one of those units, on a 4+, before you allocate any wound or mortal wound, it instead goes to that demon unit. So if you, for example, have him next to a big unit of pink horrors, you can just keep dumping the wounds into them. So effectively, with a 50-50 chance of doing that, and his 14 wounds, really going to have to do on average 28 wounds to get through enough to kill him. Really, really cool. Mortal wounds as well, it's each wound allocated. So yeah, there's not going to be really, apart from a, just slay him ability, it's going to take quite a bit to chew through him now. That is improved further by the fact that everything within the new allegiance has got a 6+ wound or mortal wound shrug. So all of your demon units, Bellacor himself, anytime you allocate a wound to them on a 6+, they ignore it. So this will apply to this rule as well. So somebody causes a wound to Bellacor, on a 4+, you palm it off to a horror, and then on a 6, the horror ignores it. Again, extending how long Bellacor is going to be on the battlefield, making him really, really good. Kind of surprised some of these abilities aren't on Bellacor himself and it's tied behind the allegiance, but I guess that's encouraging you to take Bellacor as he should be taken in a big demon army. That's not to stop you using him in your Slaves of Darkness army, he's just not going to be as effective as he is within this force. So the other cool ability that they've got is the Cursed Skies. So this was previously a command ability in the old book. In this one it's changed to just a battle trait, a normal ability that's on all the time. And at the end of each battle shock phase, if Bellacor's your general and he's on the battlefield, you roll a dice for each friendly unit out of Bloodletters, Horrors, Plague Bearers, Demonettes or Furies, and on a 3+, you can add D3 slain models back to the unit. So that can't take you over their starting number, but it can replenish those numbers. And let's not forget, most demons have got banners where they can bring people back in the battle shock phase as well. So yeah, pretty good. You can keep those big demon units alive. Obviously they've all got that 6+ wound shrug as well. It's going to make demons a lot tougher to chew through, which is really, really cool. Now, obviously what you miss out on this by having this mixed demon army is some of the god-specific summoning rules. So because of that, they brought in another rule, Unyielding Legions. And at the end of your movement phase, you pick a Legion of the First Prince hero, you roll 3d6. If you roll 10 or over, you get to summon a unit of demons for free. Within 12 inches of the hero, outside of 9 of enemy units, 10 bloodletters, 5 horrors, 10 plague bearers, 10 demonettes, 6 furies, if it's Bellacor. There is a downside. If you roll a double, you take a mortal wound. If you roll a treble, you take D3 mortal wounds. But as we've seen with some of the other abilities, there are ways to negate that. You would be able to use your 6+ shrug on those as well, and worst case, Bellacor causes a battle shock test somewhere and heals them back anyway, so it's not the end of the world. It means that over the course of the game you could get, I don't know, 50 bloodletters for free, which is pretty cool. It means that you can also summon replacements to keep your first damned prince ability going. So if the enemy manages to take out your 1 unit of demonettes, obviously you would lose that ability, but instead in the movement phase you can just summon another unit down to keep that ability going. And again, that keeps Bellacor's kind of wound taking abilities and all that kind of stuff in play. Really, really cool. Really like it. We do have a spell. It is the same as the previous one. Basically, it means that if a model is removed before it fights, it gets to fight. That can go on anything in the army. You could cast it on Bellacor himself, so he could, I don't know, he could fight. Somebody takes him out and he fights again before he gets taken off the board. Yeah, there's some cool stuff you could do with that, especially with some tooled up demon units as well. We also get 3 command abilities, and this bit is a bit strange because I don't know if you would necessarily take this allegiance without taking Bellacor as your general, because you'd miss out on quite a few abilities without that. But yeah, if you don't, you've got 3 command abilities. You can add 1 to your rolls when you're summoning units. You can add 1 to the Infernal Realm Workers battle trait. So that is your 6+ shrug becomes a 5+ shrug for Infernal Realm Walkers. And then Infernal Charge, while units within 12 inches of the general, they can re-roll their charges. So again, pretty cool. Realistically, I'm probably going to have Bellacor as my general, so I'm not sure if I'd use them. I don't know if it's worth missing out on this, ability of regurgitating your demons, but yeah, I'll take a few games to see if it's worth maybe taking another greater demon maybe with one of them. There's also some artifacts of power that are really cool. So the 4-fold blade, you pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. Every unmodified hit of a 5+ does D3 mortal wounds. So I think I'm going to have a look through and see what's the most number of attacks I can get on a hero that doesn't have 3 damage. And try and get a nice sweet spot to put that on a hero to just fish for those 5+ and do a load of mortal wounds. I'm sure there'll be some Slaanesh characters, maybe a Keeper of Secrets or something, though I don't think they've got many attacks. Yeah, I have to do some hunting for a model with a lot of attacks that I can get the advantage of that, but I think that's probably the best of the 3 of them. We've got Armour of the Pact, which lets you re-roll save rolls, and then you've got the Saint Skin Banner, which is a -1 bravery aura, which again pairs quite well with Bellacor's ability to regain wounds when people fail battle shock tests. So yeah, some pretty cool abilities there. I quite like these. I really hope these get expanded into their own battle tome, because I think that'd be really fun. Next up, we've got some new Nighthaunt content. So these are new processions for the army. So these are essentially kind of sub-allegiances that you can take. You still get all the benefits of the normal Nighthaunt allegiance abilities, but you get some extra ones on top. So the first of these is the Emerald Host. This is very much based around Hex Wraiths. So if you want a cool cavalry list, this is probably one to go for. They've got a cool ability where you pick an enemy hero, and for the duration of the battle you subtract 1 from save rolls for attacks that target that hero. Pretty cool. It basically worsens the save of one of their guys, which is pretty nice. Knights of Regret's cool. That kind of keys off the fact that you're going to have lots of Hex Wraiths. They get +1 attack on the charge, and then your general can actually pass wounds off to them on a 2+ as well. So I think with +1 attack on all their profiles, that gives Hex Wraiths 6 attacks each. So yeah, pretty good. I like Hex Wraiths. The models are cool, so you can do a cool undead cavalry list with these. So yeah, pretty cool. They also get a command trait, Lord of the Host. Once per battle you can use a command ability without a command point being spent. Not the greatest, but there's certainly worse. And then artifact of power is the Traitor Knight's Blade. You add 1 to the attack characteristic of the Bearer's Sword of Stolen Hours for their Knight of Shroud. So again, keys off that kind of cavalry themed army. You've got a hero on a horse with United Shrouds. Yeah, I think that's pretty fun. Similar to that, we've got Reichnor's Condemned. This is based around Chain Rasps and Glavewraith Stalkers, and all the abilities kind of improve them. So those units can reroll failed hit rolls when they're in 15 inches of Spirit Torments or Condemned Chain Ghasts. So yeah, pretty cool. In addition, every time they're affected by the Spectral Law or the Temporal Translocation spell, they get D6 Slay models returned, in addition to what's already brought back by the Spectral Law. Really, really nice. I think that's pretty fun. They've got a command ability, which can make the movement characteristic of those units faster as well to get them across the battlefield. As this represents kind of Reichnor's personal entourage of Condemned, he is also treated as the general, in addition to the model you choose to be the general. So essentially you get 2 generals in your army for the purposes of command abilities and the like. That's pretty fun. They also get an artifact of power, the Corpse Candle. Basically you can pick an enemy or yourself, cause a mortal wound, and that will affect their hit rolls. So you can either use it to worsen your enemies or improve your own. So pretty cool. Not the greatest, but it's a little bit of fun. The Nighthaunt also get a couple of redone profiles in the book. So the Dreadside Harridans have had a bit of a rework. They can now have 1 crone per every 5 models in the unit. So in a unit of 20 you can have 4 of them. That's really good. The Murderous Bloodlust has also changed. I think it increased damage last time on a wound of 6. That has changed now to a hit of 6, doing 2 hits instead of 1. So yeah, pretty fun. We've got the Cruelghast Cruciator, which is a new model that's coming out alongside this book. This guy, I don't know, I think I'd need to see him in action to see how worth he is. He's got quite a lot of attacks. His main gimmick is that he can improve the Deathless Spirits negation from 6+ to 5+ in a 12-inch aura. But in order to do that, he has to inflict a wound to an enemy model. So I guess you want these moving up alongside your units of Nighthaunt, causing a couple of wounds, then improving their Deathless Spirit save. So yeah, pretty cool. I think in practice I'm going to have to see how he works out, because obviously that, positioning is going to be a big issue with those ones, and he's going to be, needs to be in the thick of the fighting in order to get the benefit for that. But the model's really cool, and yeah, potentially pretty powerful, improving that shrug. We also get a War Scroll Battalion for the Sorrow Mourn Choir. This is one of the battalion boxes that's coming out alongside the book. Yeah, model-wise, I don't know, I just wish there was something else than the 2 units of My Morn Banshees, because I think everybody's got multiples of those already. But yeah, it's okay. It makes Lady Olinda count as the general even if she isn't, and models within that battalion can take wounds for her on a 2+. So it keeps Olinda alive, and if you want a different general, gets her to count as a general as well, which is pretty good. So now we get to the Caradron Overlords, and they get something a bit of fun. So obviously we've got the triumphs in the rule book, where if you have got a lower points value than your opponent, you get a triumph at the start of the game. The Caradrons get 6 unique ones to them that they can pick from, instead of having one of the ones from the book. That's quite interesting, and I do wonder if this is something we'll see in the future for their armies, having their own ones that are themed about, what they do. There's a few hit and miss ones. My particular favourite one is Blow the Magazine. So this lets you, when you lose a sky vessel, detonate the ammunition, and you roll a d6. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2 to 3, every enemy unit within 3 inches takes a mortal wound. On a 4 to 5, it's d3 mortal wounds. On a 6, it's d6 mortal wounds. So if you're, frigates pulled down in combat, yeah, you could use that, blow the magazines, and potentially do a load of damage to all the enemy units attacking them. Interestingly, it only says that it affects enemy units as well, so your own guys are safe from it exploding. So yeah, pretty cool. Other ones have got variations on healing extra wounds with your Endrin Riggers, making your Sky Vessel move an extra d6 inches one turn, re-rolling wound rolls for a single weapon for a phase. So yeah, there's some better than others. That one's quite fun. Whether people use them instead of the general triumphs, I don't know. I kind of hope that we do see unique ones for each army though, because I think that'd be a bit of fun. We then get the Caradron Battalion in this book, Drongon's Ether Runners. This is pretty fun. Endrin Master, 2 units of Endrin Riggers or Sky Wardens. They all increase their move by 3, making them really nippy, and 1 Sky Vessel within 3 inches of them also increases its movement by 3 as well. So a nice way of getting your ships moving a little bit faster maybe. For the Seraphon, we get some new bound endless spells as well. So these ones represent the endless spells in the Forbidden Power box, where you got the bridge and the guy with the boat and all them. So bound versions of them for the Seraphon, expanding all the bound spells they've got. So yeah, that's pretty much giving them access to a load of fun stuff that they can abuse with their horrific magical power. We then get a battalion for them as well, the Celestial Stampede. Basically, it lets each of the dinos in the army kind of combine their shots into a super death laser. You pick a unit within 24 inches, you roll a dice for each engine of the gods, 2 for the Bastiladon, and on each 2+, you do d3 mortal wounds to a unit. So you could do up to, 12 mortal wounds to a unit using that. So potentially pretty good to snipe out a character or something. It is once per battle though, and I think this is about 120 points off the top of my head. So yeah, but you can't go wrong with dinosaurs though. Tzeentch also get a War Scroll Battalion. This basically increases the attacks characteristic of the horrors. It is only the melee weapons though, sadly. It'd be really fun if it increased the attacks of their ranged weapons, but I guess that'd be a bit too powerful. The caster in the unit also gets 2+ to cast as well, which is pretty fun. The Fyreslayers also get a few revised war scrolls as well. Both of them get a improved throwing steel, so it hits and wounds on 4s now and has -1 rend, where I think previously it was hitting and wounding on 5s and didn't have any rend. And then a few tweaks to their abilities. So the Oathbound ability also kicks in when he dies now. So previously, if he charged in and fought, at the end of the combat phase he'd be able to fight again. He still has that, but in addition, if he's killed in the combat phase, he can fight again as well. So that's pretty good, bit of an improvement on him. The Grimwrath Berserker has had a bit of a tweak. He now gets to pick 1 of 6 Grimwrath Oaths that have different effects during the battle. So one of them gives him +1 to hit and wound on priests and adds 1 to the damage against priests. I'll guard them with my life, so a longly worded one, but basically you can pick a hero that's not on a Magma Droth, that hasn't got Auric Hearthguard near it. Within 3 inches on a 2+, he takes mortal wounds for them, and he adds 1 to hit rolls while he's near them. I'll let nothing stand in my way. He can run in charge, and he can re-roll the charge when he does so, which is pretty cool. I'll prove Grimnir's might to our allies, add 1 to hit and wound rolls for attacks made by this model, while he's within 12 inches of a friendly allied unit, including the model if this model is itself taken as an allied unit. So yeah, basically makes him better if he's taken as an allied choice. It's a bit of a weird one. Obviously he's not got a million attacks to benefit from that. I Will Not Be Stopped is pretty much his old ability that he used to have base, where he's got a 6+ wound shrug. And then finally, I'll Strike Hard and True in Grimnir's name. If he takes a hit of a 6, it inflicts a mortal wound in addition to any other damage. So yeah, I don't know, I quite like that you can pick between them. It's like the old War Dancers, where there might be different abilities that work better in different turns. Yeah, not too bad. And then finally we get Garda Steel Soul, the other new model that we've got in this release. And yeah, he's basically the Lord Celestin of the Hallowed Knights. He's got pretty much the same profile as a Lord Celestin, but he's got a couple of Hallowed Knight specific abilities. So he himself has got a 5+ wound shrug, and Hallowed Knights within 12 inches have got a 6+ wound shrug, I believe. Yep, 6+ wound shrug. In addition, Once per battle, he can make Hallowed Knights within 12 inches, re-roll their charge rolls and add 1 to their attacks. Again, pretty tasty. Other than that, I think the other abilities that he's got are what normal Lord Celestins have anyway. But yeah, pretty cool. The model's absolutely gorgeous. I don't collect Stormcast, but I think I might have to paint up one of these regardless. And finally, we have the points for everything in the book. Obviously a lot less points than we had in the previous one with all the new Luminous stuff in there. But yeah, Bellacor at 380 points. He is a lot better in his Legion of the First Prince army. Whether he's worth the 380 points in a kind of normal Slaves of Darkness army, I don't know. He's got a lot more attacks, he's got a lot more wounds, but you get the real benefit from him taking him in that demon army. I've got a feeling we will see an Age of Sigmar demon army book at some point, and yeah, synergising with kind of demons in that, I think he might be worth it. I'm definitely going to have some games with Bellacor and try him out, because I do think that First Prince Allegiance looks pretty cool. As for the other things, not too expensive across the board. We've not got too many expensive battalions, which is pretty good to see, which means hopefully they'll get some play. They're not all, you know, the most super competitive battalions that we've ever had, but they're pretty fun. So yeah, that was a quick look at Broken Realms Bellacor. If you check out the website, I've got a full write-up on all that, in case I've missed anything on here. I think it's all detailed on there. Also on the website at the very end of the post, I got a full summary of the storyline in here as well. So I didn't really want to spoil it in this video in case people wanted to read it for themselves. So yeah, that's all on the website if you do want to read it. Really enjoyed the book. Brilliant story. Highly recommend it to any Age of Sigmar player. As I do with the other Broken Realms books. I can't wait for the next one to come out. It's yeah, it's very exciting. We had quite a wait for Teclis, so hopefully there's not too much time to wait until the next volume. And then the big question is, where does this go? I mean, we've kind of guessed on the podcast that this is all leading towards the 3rd edition of Age of Sigmar. We've also kind of guessed that there's only 4 books in the range. However, the fact that we've seen quite a few new models that are destined for future books could mean that there's a couple more maybe, but yeah, hopefully we know soon, and as soon as we do, we'll have it all on the website anyway. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that look at Broken Realms Bellacor. We will get some battle reports of these up when we can, but yeah, until then, see you all soon, and yeah, hope you enjoy the weekend.